We all have till today always heard this thing that some or the other person has seen a ghost, but we always hear that that one person saw a ghost. We never hear that 4 to 5 people together saw a ghost, right? And maybe because of some of these reasons, from the beginning itself, nobody believes that much in ghosts and spirits. It has just remained a folklore, a folk tale. But today, the story that I am going to tell you, in that not just one person saw a ghost, more than 100 people saw a ghost there at the same time together, and not only did they just see it, they also talked to it. And guys, this story is about that very thing, because as scary, as frightening as this story is, even more frightening than that is a truth of it. In this story, there is a mystery hidden which till today nobody has been able to solve, and today I will tell you about both of those incidents. Guys, there is also a question for all of you here. It will remain hidden in this video, and whoever answers that question, I will give them a shout out in some of my upcoming videos. And guys, this question I am not just going to say like that. This question of this video I have hidden in it, and you will have to make a very creative comment related to that question. Now, before starting this video, to watch more such horror, mysterious and historical videos, subscribe to this channel. Now, this story starts, guys. This story is of Flight 401. About this story, you must have read many news articles, seen blogs. A lot of things have happened with it, because it is said that many secrets are connected with this story, like a mystery is hidden behind it. Actually, this flight in 1972 took off from New York to Florida. This flight was being flown by 2 captains, Albert and Robert, and those 2 captains were themselves very experienced, like very knowledgeable about flights. No mistakes could happen from them. And on the day of the flight as well, when this flight was flying, at that time also there was no problem. In the whole flight, everything was completely normal, and in just some time, the flight was also about to land. But just before the flight was about to land, the captain felt that its landing gear was a little faulty, and if we used this gear even a little, or if we tried to put even a little pressure on it, then at the time of landing it could burn or something could go wrong. But still, both the captains together thought that we should check a bit, like how can we work this out? But still they were not able to do it. That thing, that landing gear was not coming out at all. They were not finding any solution. So now they were feeling that maybe we should tell everything to the ground staff, because maybe at the end they will be able to help us. Because guys, now they had come very close to the landing place. Like already, they just had to land. That was the next step. So now they directly contacted the ground staff. The ground staff first of all told them one thing. First, take the flight to a good distance in the air, and after that, put it in autopilot mode. And the same thing the pilot also did. They went into autopilot mode. And then the ground staff said that now you people calmly can think how you can take out that landing gear. They started trying, but in between these attempts, one of the captain's hand accidentally pressed on the autopilot lever, and the autopilot mode had now been removed from the plane. Nobody got to know anything, but the flight was now moving very fast towards the ground. In that plane, there were 2 pilots, 10 flight attendants, and 163 passengers. When this plane was going very fast towards the ground, even then they could not save it. The plane crashed. All the people who were sitting in the cockpit, all of them burned and died. Out of 10, 2 flight attendants did not survive, and out of 163, only 75 people survived. Even today, it is said that this was the most terrifying accident in aviation history, where because of just one small mistake, so many people died. But the real story had started after this crash. As the news of Flight 401's crash became old, people also started forgetting these accidents, and those people of the flight company also started thinking that now a lot of time has passed, we should also forget about all this now, and we should also move on from this. So when it was their turn to move on, then they started using all the broken pieces of Flight 401 that were working properly, whatever scrap material there was, all of it in their new flights. And the flight in which they used the most of that scrap material and different things, that flight was Flight 318, and now it was time for all those flights to take off. While taking off, everything was normal. For many days, everything was normal. But in whichever flights the spare parts of 401 were installed, now some things started going wrong there. Like whoever used to travel in that flight, or all the time they would feel that someone is sitting next to them, even if there was no one. whole seat would be empty, but still they would feel that someone is definitely sitting there. Now, this one time 11. This is about one such incident that happened in a certain flight. An air hostess who was serving everyone. At that same time, she went to a strange empty place where no one used to sit, and she felt that some person is sitting there who's giving her an order, and the one giving the order was none other than the pilot of that same plane. She found it very strange that how is he sitting here? He should be in the cockpit. Then, to confirm, she went to the cockpit and she saw that both the pilots were sitting there. So who is and he is repeatedly saying something that be careful, this flight can catch fire. Faye at that time was not saying anything. She was just standing like that and she was just looking at that reflection, and that reflection was repeatedly saying the same thing, that be careful, this flight can catch fire. Now, after some time, Faye came to her senses a little. She moved a bit and she thought that I should tell this to someone. Then she ran to the flight engineer and told him everything. And guys, normally no one believes in all these things, but when that flight engineer came, then he also saw that reflection and he said that yes, I can also see this reflection, and I even know this person. This person is none other than my own friend. He used to be, because he died in the crash of Flight 401. He was the engineer of that same flight, and whatever things he was saying, all those things were being heard by the flight engineer. And guys, at that time, not only he alone was hearing all these things, all the colleagues, all the air hostesses, everyone could hear these things. Even not just the air hostesses, all the flight attendants who came out of that passage, everyone saw him. Everyone also heard his voice that there is some person standing in this corner and he is shouting that be careful, this flight can catch fire at any time. And guys, as I said at the beginning of this video, that in horror stories it always happens that only one person sees a ghost or a spirit. But in this Flight 318, almost all the passengers saw this reflection. All the passengers heard this voice, which was not not of a human, of something that was not alive. But guys, now you must be thinking that the man in that reflection, what about what he said? He said that this flight is going to catch fire. What about that? These things were taken very seriously. The flight engineer advised that this plane should be landed as soon as possible, and it was landed. After landing, this flight was sent for servicing, and during servicing, one thing was very shocking, that no such fault was found because of which this plane could catch fire. It was very normal. This plane was completely clean. Then those servicing people thought that now we should give it back, and this plane can fly easily. So guys, because of these reasons, that flight was again given permission to fly. At the time of its first takeoff itself, that plane stopped in the air. It got faulty, like it was not running at all. So guys, at that time, the flight attendants and the pilot all tried that the flight gets revived again, but it was not happening. And they thought that if now we try with 100% effort, and if we try to force the engine even a little, then there is a 100% chance that this flight will catch fire, and it could have happened. Then, at that time, they also remembered the words of Don Repo, and guys, then luckily that flight got revived again, it started running again, and that flight was safely landed. And guys, if all these things had not happened, then the words said by a ghost would have all come true, meaning that what happened with Don Repo, that painful accident, he did not want it to happen with anyone else. That is why he had already warned all the flight attendants that something is wrong in this flight. And guys, now such warnings started coming to all the flight members, to all the flight services. Literally, a ghost was saving the lives of thousands of people all the time. Because guys, see that because of one person's mistake, so many people died. At that time, just because of one person's mistake. And because of that, a very historic decision was also taken by that flight's owner, that whichever flights have the spare parts of Flight 401 installed, they should be immediately removed on an immediate basis, because it is possible that in the future, Don Repo and the souls of the other captains, which are maybe hidden in those spare parts, may later haunt people. And guys, as far as Flight 318 is concerned, in that flight there used to be one crew member who was very religious, so all the crew members told that person one thing, that now it is a matter of everyone's safety, and since you are so religious, maybe you should perform an exorcism in this whole flight using holy water. Then he did all these things because of course it was a matter of everyone's safety, so he did not refuse at all. He did all these things, and after this exorcism no spirit was ever seen in that flight, no voice was ever heard. But guys, did this story end here? No. The spare parts of Flight 401, even today it is said that they are kept in many different flights. They still exist today. Maybe recently in the flight in which you travelled, those spare parts were also there. It is said that when you are in a flight and you feel very chills, goosebumps, it is because maybe in that plane, those spare parts of Flight 401 are used. It is possible that in the flight you sit in next time, right next to you, Don Repo or some dead passenger's spirit of that same flight may be there, and he may be trying to make you feel that same pain. And guys, maybe this is the reason that the story of Flight 401 is the most painful and terrifying story in the entire aviation history. And guys, one such story has also happened in our India, but it is not related to a flight, and it is the most haunted place of our country, and its title is also this, the most haunted place. But which place is that, I will not tell you in this video. You will know it only after watching the full video. And guys, whoever tells me the name of that place first in the comments, I will personally give them a shout out in my next video or some other videos. Now, before ending this video, I would like to say one thing to you, that while going in a flight, if any person comes and tells you something like that, maybe you should not go in this flight because that flight has such a history, then by listening to him, you should get down from that flight, because it is possible that he has come to save you from a painful death. This is a warning, guys. Thank you.